Yeah, Governor Neil Musselton, two questions, please. Why has it taken so long to realise that three handle is ineffective against 6 to 8% inflation when the evidence offshore from central banks that have been on the job fighting inflation far earlier is at much higher rates than needed, and also they've had better success. And secondly, with the quantitative easing that we're doing an unconventional policy, do you feel that the harm caused by that and inefficiencies in the market have really been worth it, and the long-term effects? And do you feel that the bank might be better off operating with a more conventional structure, say 1% floor in rates, maybe hand back to the fiscal measures and hand back to the government?
There are a lot of questions there. The first one, kind of why are our interest rates lower than the rest of the world? I mean, there are a few considerations. The first is that we had been prepared to have a slightly slower glide path back to the inflation target than some other countries, because we really wanted to lock in, if we could, this once-in-a-generation improvement in the labour market. So our inflation forecasts have inflation returning to the top of the target band in mid-25. Other countries were getting there earlier, and we were comfortable with that. So that was one factor. Another factor was that Australians pay, most Australians have variable rate mortgages. I mean, in the United States, when interest rates go up, if you've got an existing mortgage, you don't pay any more. In Australia, you pay more kind of within a week or two. So we've had in Australia a very big hit to household disposable income from higher mortgage rates. That doesn't happen in other countries. So that's one reason we think that interest rates perhaps don't need to go up as much as they do elsewhere. And the third factor has been that nominal wage growth in Australia was lower than it was in most other countries. Measures of wages in the US and the UK have been running at close to 5. They're lower here. So they're the three factors that have led us to have lower interest rates than the rest of the world. And if any of those factors change, then we would have to reconsider. You asked about use of quantitative easing or maybe perhaps quantitative tightening. Now, it's clear in retrospect that the central banks and the fiscal authorities did too much during the pandemic. I think that's pretty clear. But I just, when you think about that, I just invite you to go back to those days of the pandemic. It was scary. We did what we thought was the right thing at the right time with the information that we had. We wanted to do everything that we could to protect the country from the economic effects of the pandemic. We did that, and at the time we were doing that, we thought a vaccine would take years to be developed, the restrictions would last for ages, and it turned out the scientists developed vaccines in record time. We all got vaccinated and life returned to normal more quickly than any of us, or at least certainly I expected, and that was the advice that we were getting as well, to take ages. So we did what we thought was necessary. In retrospect, we did too much. Now, with interest rates away from the lower bound, our view is that interest rates remain the tool for monetary policy, and quantitative tightening isn't really an effective monetary policy tool when you can use interest rates. So the focus for us is very much on the cash rate.